quick look at doing a bit more weathering on this Grampus wagon. So I'm just going to mix, I've got just these mixer pots. This is just one from Wicks. Other superstores and do-it-yourself stores are available. This is just a pot of matte red emulsion. Also got some acrylic, some school acrylic white. So in this pot I've got some acrylic white, bit of school acrylic yellow, match pot red, and a bit of black. I'm just going to make a sort of a rust colour here. So just the red, bit of yellow, bit of black, bit of white, bit more yellow, bit more red. So it's just a, there we go. That's kind of big. I don't mix it too strongly because I quite like the streaks of different colours. So we've got a sort of a rusty track colour. You add a bit more yellow or red or white or black for your own personal gratification.
For your opinion.
So that'll be the rust colour for this Grampus wagon. Right, here we go. Let's have a little look at this. Got some yellow on it straight away. Look at that. Load of old rubbish. I'll paint over that in a minute. I like to give the buffers a little bit of rust. Easy enough. Just take a bit of the excess paint off, and then what I'll do is just give it a little light flick. So just a bit there on the axle boxes. There you go. Just flick it very get nice movement with your fingers. Up and down, flick it. Just don't forget. Just give some nice rust streaks. Axle boxes tend to be pretty rusty. Already that's a little better. On the other side, bit of white in there, doesn't matter because you get all that sort of limestone streaks and dust streaks from the loads that the wagons were carrying.
I like the news, babe, when the dust particles come on.
Thank you, Arthur. Yeah, just a bit yellow, bit there. So very light, sort of dry brushing, just flicking. Just gives that sort of just. You can always take this off with a bit of
water,
bit of rag and a bit of water if you overdo it. There we go. Just that's quite nice. And then the steps. Just give a bit of white on the steps. They always had white painted steps. Should I use a smaller brush for that, really? I've got one. I'll do. It's all a bit haphazard, but that's kind of the way I work. That's a bit better. The handbrake, ends of the handbrake are always white. This one's actually quite hard to access. I'll just put a bit of white in there. It's always a nice touch to get the handbrake handle white. There we go. Put white in there, same with the other. Just get that step, just take a bit of the paint off. Just do the step white. Not too worried too much about neatness because they were pretty shoddily painted, really, these wagons. When they were in service, they got incredibly decrepit. Okay, that's reasonably happy with that. What I'll do next is just give a bit of paint on the load, because these plastic loads really don't look very good as they come out of the shop. So let's just give it a quick paint over. Bit of black, bit of white, bit of everything really. Get to the corners. Bit of yellow in there. Bit of brown. I mean, you can, depending on where the spoil was picked up from, this could be any colour. If you were down in the West Country, it'd probably be quite a dark red colour. Wiltshire, there'll be a lot of chalk in it, so there might be a lot of white in there. So here, you know, could be pretty much any colour. So we'll add a bit more. What we'll do next is just got a little bag of yard ballast here while the paint's wet. Just sprinkle a bit of that on it. Paint it in a bit. Don't worry about using a good brush because this is going to get a bit messy. A bit more brown, a bit white, just a bit of everything really. Spoil is made up of all sorts of material, ballast, cinders, ashes, dirt, earth. You know, a bit of everything really. So and another thing I would like to do is I've got these pastels here which I use for my artwork because I'm an artist. These are quite good for dry
in detail.
Yeah, weathering powders, like a weathering powder. Used, again, you know, you can be fairly
rough,
abstract with the choice of colours. Blending in, nothing wrong with using your fingers.
It's always good to get dirty.
It is always done. Well, that was quite. Anyway, that's sort of given that horrible plastic look, taking the sheen off that plastic look, so that's looks a bit better, a bit more interesting. You can work as much as you like onto that, really go for hours on it really, I suppose, but a few minutes by me is probably good enough. And also this, using these pastels, it's like a dry weathering powders, you can put it along the top of the side of the wagon, so the, you know, where the spoils come over and it's marked the wagon. No, I never used varnish to seal my stuff, but I suppose you could use a matte varnish if you want to seal it in, but as I don't really touch the wagons that often, it doesn't really matter. That's coming along, isn't it? Now what I'll probably do now is just go and give it a light blast of track colour with a spray. I don't know where that is. Somewhere. I'll go and find it. I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, here we have some track colour acrylic spray. I don't know the actual colour, just went to a model shop and asked for some track colour. Sort of a brown, khaki brown colour. I'll do this outside because I don't really like the fumes very much. Just hold the wagon slightly under, just give it a little blast across the bottom. Don't go too wild on it because otherwise you can obliterate everything. Across the ends. So here's the wagon. We've just given it a little spray. I went outside, give it a little spray of track colour, the underframes and stuff. And again, I've just put a tiny bit of white on this sort of square brush and just flicked it up and down to give this sort of, you know, white streaks of limestone dust or whatever. And to be honest, these wagons got into such a terrible condition. You can go on weathering for hours really. Probably important, try not to delete all the wagon numbers and stuff because they tended to be reasonably clean. I've probably overdone it a bit there, but never mind. And again, I've put a little bit more white on the load at the top, a bit more dust and mixed about. But there we have another Grampus wagon for the train. I think that looks pretty good. Individual, so I'll stick that in with the other rake and maybe have a little run with it. Here we have our engineer's train. We have a Hymek on the front, Southern Region tool van, an open wagon, and there's the dirty little Grampus wagons bringing up the rear, and a lovely Queen Mary bogey brake at the end.